The last resort. The colony ship Artemis hung in the darkness of deep space, its massive hull reflecting the distant starlight. Inside the bridge, Captain Sarah Chen watched the tactical display with growing concern. 3 Nexari warships had appeared at the edge of their sensor range, their distinctive crystalline hulls glowing with an otherworldly purple light. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the tension building in her chest. "Main drive at 82% capacity," replied Navigation Officer James Wright. "But we can't outrun them, Captain. Their quantum drives are too fast." Dr. Maya Rodriguez, the ship's chief archaeologist, stood quietly in the corner of the bridge. She had been studying ancient human warfare techniques when the alert sounded, and something about their current situation nagged at her thoughts. The Nexari were notorious for their advanced technology, particularly their quantum shields that could predict and deflect any energy weapon fired at them. "All defensive systems online," announced Security Chief David Kumar. "Though I'm not sure how much good they'll do us." The Nexari shrugged off everything the Martian Defense Force threw at them last month. The Artemis carried 10,000 colonists in cryosleep, along with the equipment and supplies needed to establish a new home on Kepler 186f. They represented humanity's hope for expansion beyond their solar system. Now they were about to become another casualty in humanity's first interstellar war. "They're charging weapons," Kumar reported grimly. The tactical display showed the Nexari ships moving into an attack formation, their weapon systems pulsing with energy. Captain Chen's mind raced through their options. Their laser arrays were useless against quantum shields. Their plasma torpedoes would be detected and dodged. Their railguns. "Wait." Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward, her eyes bright with realization. "Captain, what's in cargo hold 3? "Mining equipment," Chen replied, puzzled by the seeming non sequitur. "Excavators, drills, basic terraforming gear, including the mechanical catapults for launching survey probes." Chen's eyes widened as she caught the archaeologist's meaning. "You can't be serious." "The Nexari's quantum shields are designed to counter energy weapons," Rodriguez explained quickly. "They predict the trajectory of incoming fire and generate a counterfield. But what about something completely mechanical? Something so simple their predictive algorithms might not even register it as a weapon?" Security Chief Kumar shook his head. "You want us to fight warships with catapults, like some kind of space-age medieval army." "Sometimes the old ways are the best ways," Rodriguez insisted. "Their shields are tuned for high-energy impacts. A slow-moving, massive object might pass right through." Captain Chen stared at the tactical display, watching the Nexari ships draw closer. They had minutes at most before the alien vessels would be in firing range. The lives of 10,000 colonists hung in the balance. "Even if this works, the catapults weren't designed as weapons," Wright pointed out. "Their range is limited, and we'd need something to throw." "We've got something," Chen said slowly, her eyes fixed on the asteroid field they'd been skirting. "We've got plenty of ammunition right there. Kumar, get your best engineers to cargo hold 3. Rodriguez, you're with them. Tell them exactly what you need. Right, plot us a course that keeps us in the asteroid field, but gives us room to maneuver." The bridge erupted into activity. As crew members rushed to their tasks, Chen allowed herself a grim smile. The Nexari had never faced a human ship in close combat before. They were about to learn why humanity's history of warfare made them so dangerous. 20 minutes later, the Artemis had taken up position behind a particularly large asteroid. The mining catapults had been modified and mounted on the ship's external hardpoints, their launching mechanisms reinforced to handle greater mass. The cargo bay doors stood open, tractor beams ready to feed their improvised ammunition into the launching systems. "Nexari ships entering weapons range," Kumar reported. "They're charging their main guns." "Hold position," Chen ordered. "Wait until they commit to their attack run." The Nexari ships moved with perfect coordination, their formation designed to maximize their fields of fire while maintaining overlapping shield coverage. They had no reason to expect anything but the usual energy weapons humans always employed. "They're launching fighters," Wright announced. "Standard sweep pattern." Chen nodded. Everything was proceeding according to the Nexary's usual tactics. They would send in fighters to probe the Artemis's defenses, then move in for the kill once they confirmed shield strength and weapon capabilities. "Now," Chen ordered. The modified catapults fired simultaneously, hurling chunks of asteroid toward the approaching Nexary fighters. The crude projectiles moved relatively slowly compared to energy weapons, but they carried enormous kinetic energy. The Nexary pilots, expecting energy weapons, were caught completely off guard. The first fighter disappeared in a spray of crystalline shards as a rock the size of a small car smashed through it. Two more followed in quick succession, their sophisticated shields useless against such primitive attacks. On the bridge of the Artemis, the crew watched in stunned silence as their improvised weapons tore through the Nexary fighter screen. The larger warships began to alter course, their weapon systems reconfiguring to deal with this unexpected threat. But the humans weren't done yet. This was just the beginning. Ancient wisdom. The initial success against the Nexary fighters had bought the Artemis precious time. But Captain Chen knew they needed more than just thrown rocks to survive this encounter. In the ship's makeshift workshop, Dr. Rodriguez worked frantically with the engineering team, applying her knowledge of ancient warfare to their modern predicament. "Look at this," she said, pulling up historical diagrams on her tablet. "The Romans used something called a ballista, essentially a massive crossbow. We could adapt the principle using the ship's cargo loading mechanisms." Chief Engineer Marcus Torres studied the diagrams, his expression thoughtful. "The tensile strength of our carbon fiber cables would be perfect for this. We could even use the ship's artificial gravity to increase the power." While they worked, the Nexary warships regrouped. Their initial confusion at losing their fighters had given way to a more cautious approach. The alien vessels spread out, attempting to flank the Artemis while staying just outside the range of the improvised catapults. "They're learning," Kumar reported from the bridge, "breaking formation to reduce the effectiveness of area attacks." Captain Chen nodded grimly. "How long until the new weapons are ready?" "Engineering reports first battery of ballistas will be operational in 10 minutes, Kumar replied. "They're also working on something they're calling a space trebuchet, though I'm not sure I want to know what that means." The Nexary used their superior mobility to probe the Artemis's defenses, launching occasional energy attacks that dissipated harmlessly against the asteroid field. They seemed unwilling to commit to a full assault after losing their fighter screen, but Chen knew it wouldn't last. In the workshop, Rodriguez and Torres had moved beyond simple adaptations of ancient weapons. They were now exploring combinations of old and new technology that would have seemed absurd just hours ago. "The principle of the trebuchet relied on counterweights," Rodriguez explained, gesturing to a holographic simulation. "But in space, we can use the ship's artificial gravity generators to create localized gravity wells. Combine that with electromagnetic acceleration, and we get a weapon that can launch projectiles with incredible force while being virtually undetectable to their sensors." Torres finished. "Because it's not an energy weapon, just clever use of fundamental forces." The engineering team worked with renewed vigor, converting cargo handlers and mining equipment into weapons that hadn't been seen in warfare for centuries. They weren't just copying ancient designs, they were evolving them, adapting them for space combat in ways their original inventors could never have imagined. "First battery of ballistas ready for testing," Torres reported over the comm. "Targeting systems linked to main computer." "Multiple Nexary signatures detected," Kumar announced suddenly. "They're calling in reinforcements." Chen's jaw tightened. "How many?" "5 more warships entering the system. They'll be here in 20 minutes. In the workshop, Rodriguez heard the news and turned to Torres. "We need something bigger. The ballistas and trebuchets will work against their fighters and smaller ships, but against their capital ships." Torres was already nodding. "I think I know what you mean." Remember those old stories about the Greek fire? What if we combine that concept with our remaining plasma torpedoes? Rodriguez's eyes lit up. Their shields are calibrated for pure energy weapons. A plasma-chemical hybrid, delivered by mechanical means, would bypass their defensive algorithms completely. Torres finished. It's completely insane, which is exactly why it might work. The next 15 minutes saw a flurry of activity throughout the Artemis. The engineering team split into groups, some finishing the installation of the ballistas and trebuchets, others working on the new hybrid weapon. In the cargo holds, crews prepared ammunition, from simple asteroid chunks to specially modified plasma containers. 5 minutes until reinforcements arrive. Kumar updated. Original 3 warships are moving to surround us. Chen studied the tactical display, noting how the Nexeri ships maintained their distance while trying to cut off their escape routes. They're being cautious. Good. That means we got them worried. All weapons prepared. Torres reported from engineering, including our special surprise. Though I should warn you, we only had enough materials for 3 shots with the hybrid weapon. Then we'll make them count, Chen replied. She opened a channel to the entire ship. All hands, battle stations. This is not how I expected our colonial mission to go, but we're about to remind the galaxy why humans have survived every challenge we've ever faced. We adapt, we improvise, and we overcome. Stand by for combat maneuvers. The Artemis's engines hummed to life, pushing the massive ship out from behind its asteroid cover. The modified weapons gleamed dully in the starlight, looking almost primitive compared to the sleek Nexeri vessels. But appearances, as humanity had proven time and again throughout its history, could be deceiving. The real test was about to begin. Trial by fire. The void between the ships erupted in a deadly dance as the Artemis engaged its enemies. The Nexeri warships moved with practiced precision, their crystalline hulls pulsing with energy as they prepared to fire their main weapons. They had faced human vessels before, but nothing had prepared them for what came next. Launch first volley, Chen ordered. Let's see how they handle our new toys. The modified ballistas fired in sequence, launching meter-wide projectiles wrapped in carbon fiber netting. The Nexeri ships registered the incoming objects, but their defense systems, calibrated for energy weapons and high-velocity missiles, initially ignored them as non-threatening. That proved to be their first mistake. As the projectiles neared their targets, electromagnetic charges in the netting activated, causing the pieces to split apart into clouds of smaller fragments. The Nexeri shields, designed to deflect single powerful impacts, struggled to cope with the dispersed pattern of incoming debris. Direct hits on 2 vessels, Kumar reported, excitement creeping into his voice. Their shield strength is fluctuating. In engineering, Torres watched the sensor readings with satisfaction. The fragment dispersal pattern is working better than we hoped. Their predictive algorithms can't track all the pieces. The Nexeri adapted quickly, adjusting their shield configurations to better handle multiple impacts. But this adaptation forced them to divert power from their weapons, buying the Artemis precious time as the reinforcements approached. Enemy vessels adjusting formation. Wright announced from navigation. They're trying to box us in before their backup arrives. Chen nodded grimly. Time to show them our second surprise. Dr. Rodriguez, are you ready with the trebuchets? Targeting solutions locked, Rodriguez replied from her station. Gravity generators primed and synchronized. The space trebuchets were marvels of improvised engineering. Using carefully controlled gravity fields, they could accelerate massive projectiles to devastating speeds while remaining virtually invisible to Nexeri sensors. The aliens' advanced technology, focused on detecting energy weapons and conventional drives, was blind to the simple physics being used against them. Launch when ready, Chen ordered. The trebuchets fired, their projectiles accelerating through artificially generated gravity wells. These weren't simple rocks. Each one carried a payload of industrial diamonds, created as a byproduct of the ship's carbon recycling system. At the velocities achieved through the gravity assist, They became devastating penetrators. The lead Nexari ship detected the incoming objects too late. Its shields, still configured for the previous attack pattern, failed to deflect the diamond-tipped penetrators. The projectiles punched through the crystalline hull, sending sparkles of alien alloy spinning into space. Critical damage to enemy vessel, Kumar reported. They're losing power to their main drive. But the Artemis's success had come at a cost. The improvised weapons were putting enormous strain on the ship's systems. Warning lights flashed across engineering consoles as power fluctuated through overtaxed circuits. We can't maintain this level of fire for long, Torres warned. The gravity generators weren't designed for this kind of use. Incoming. Wright's warning cut through the bridge as the remaining Nexari ships launched a coordinated attack. Beams of coherent energy sliced through space, most dissipating against the Artemis's shields, but some finding weak points in the defense. Hull breach on Deck 4, Kumar announced. Emergency containment holding. Shields down to 40%. Chen gripped her command chair as the ship shuddered under another impact. Status on the hybrid weapon. Ready, Rodriguez replied. But we'll need to get closer, much closer. Chen studied the tactical display. The damaged Nexari ship had drifted away from its companions, creating a gap in their formation. It was a small opening, but it might be enough. Right, plot us a course through that gap. Everything you can give to the engines. That'll put us right in the middle of their formation, Kumar protested. Exactly where we need to be, Chen replied. Ready the hybrid weapon. All other batteries, prepare for point-blank engagement. The Artemis surged forward, its engines straining as it accelerated toward the Nexari formation. The alien ships responded immediately, adjusting their positions to trap the human vessel. Energy weapons crisscrossed space, most missing as Wright executed a series of evasive maneuvers that would have been impossible for a ship of the Artemis's size under normal circumstances. Engineering reports artificial gravity failing on lower decks, Kumar announced. We're pushing the systems beyond safety limits. Keep going, Chen ordered. Rodriguez Torres. Status on the hybrid weapon. Ready on your command, Torres replied. But we'll only get one shot at this range. The Artemis plunged between the Nexari ships, close enough now to see the intricate patterns etched into their crystalline hulls. At this range, even their advanced targeting systems couldn't miss. Now, Chen ordered. The hybrid weapon fired, launching its unique payload, a combination of superheated plasma contained within a mechanically delivered shell. As it struck the nearest Nexari vessel, the containment field collapsed precisely as designed. The resulting explosion was unlike anything the aliens had encountered before, a devastating combination of thermal and kinetic energy that overwhelmed their sophisticated defenses. The Nexari ship's hull cracked, energy bleeding from its wounded form. But there was no time to celebrate. The reinforcements had arrived. Turning the tide. The arrival of the Nexari reinforcements should have spelled the end for the Artemis. 5 fresh warships joined the battle, their weapons charged and shields at full power. But in the chaos of the previous engagement, the aliens had overlooked something crucial. The Artemis transmission array was still intact. Message buoy launched, Kumar reported. Full battle data transmitted to the Colonial Defense Network. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Even if they didn't survive this fight, other human ships would know the Nexari weren't invincible. The data from their improvised weapons would give humanity a fighting chance. The Nexari reinforcements spread out in an attack formation, their crystalline hulls gleaming as they prepared to finish off the damaged colony ship. But the Artemis wasn't finished yet. Hull integrity at 60%. Torres reported from engineering. We've managed to stabilize the gravity generators, but we can't take another beating like that last pass. We won't have to, Chen replied. Dr. Rodriguez, tell me you've got another trick up your sleeve. The archaeologist was already working at her console, analyzing the sensor data from their previous attacks. The Nexari adapt quickly, but they're predictable. They adjust their shields to counter whatever hurt them last. If we can use that against them, Multiple weapon signatures, Kumar interrupted. They're launching a coordinated strike. All hands, brace for evasive maneuvers, Chen ordered. The Artemis dove into the asteroid field, using the space debris as cover. The Nexari followed, their superior maneuverability allowing them to weave between the floating rocks with ease. But that was exactly what Rodriguez had been counting on. Now, Torres, she called. The engineer activated their latest modification, a series of modified mining charges attached to carefully selected asteroids. As the Nexari ships passed, the charges detonated, not to damage the ships directly, but to create clouds of electrically charged dust. The effect was immediate. The Nexari shields, reconfigured to defend against large kinetic impacts and hybrid weapons, struggled to cope with the microscopic particles. The dust worked its way into shield gaps, interfering with the crystal lattice structure of their hulls. Their shield efficiency is dropping, Kumar reported. Readings show multiple system fluctuations across their fleet. But the Nexari weren't finished. Their remaining ships launched fighters, different from the ones they'd lost earlier. These were smaller, faster, and equipped with what looked like physical armor alongside their energy shields. They're learning, Rodriguez observed, adapting their technology to counter our primitive weapons. Then we'll just have to get more creative, Chen replied. Torres, what's the status on that last surprise you mentioned? The engineer's voice carried a note of grim satisfaction. Ready when you are, Captain. Though I should warn you, this one's really going to stretch the definition of ancient warfare. What Torres and his team had created was arguably their most ambitious modification yet. They had taken the principles of an ancient Chinese repeating crossbow, the Chu Konu, and applied them to their remaining cargo launchers. The result was a rapid-fire system capable of launching hundreds of small, magnetically charged projectiles per minute. Enemy fighters entering range, Kumar announced. Perfect, Chen replied. Torres, light them up. The modified launchers sprang to life, filling space with a storm of projectiles. The Nexari fighters, expecting conventional weapons, flew right into the barrage. Their new armor could deflect individual impacts, but the sheer volume of projectiles overwhelmed their defenses. Fighter screen is breaking up, Kumar reported, but the capital ships are pressing their attack. Chen studied the tactical display. The Artemis had bloodied the Nexari fleet, but they still held the advantage in numbers and firepower. They needed something more, something the aliens couldn't predict or counter. That's when Rodriguez's voice cut through the tension on the bridge. Captain, I have an idea. It's completely insane, but those are quickly becoming my favorite kind of ideas, Chen replied. What do you have in mind? The archaeologist quickly outlined her plan. It was, as advertised, completely insane. It would require precise timing, perfect coordination, and more than a little luck. It would also mean sacrificing most of their remaining weapons. But if it worked, do it, Chen ordered. The Artemis's engines flared to life, pushing the massive ship into what appeared to be a suicidal charge directly at the heart of the Nexari fleet. The alien vessels, perhaps believing they had finally broken the human ship's will to fight, moved to surround it and destroy it. They didn't realize they were flying into the most elaborate trap yet. Full circle, the Artemis hurtled toward the Nexari fleet, its engines burning at full capacity. To the alien vessels, it must have looked like a desperate final attack, the last gasp of a defeated enemy. They couldn't have been more wrong. All systems ready, Rodriguez reported. Torres has the timing calculations locked in. Enemy ships moving to intercept, Kumar added. They're charging their main weapons. Chen took a deep breath. Everything hinged on the next few moments. Execute Operation Trojan Horse. The plan was beautifully simple in concept, though fiendishly complex in execution. While the Nexari had been focused on the Artemis's weapons, the engineering team had been working on something else entirely, converting their remaining mining equipment into the largest electromagnetic pulse generator ever improvised. EMP capacitors at full charge, Torres reported from engineering. Though I still say this is crazy even by our recent standards. The Artemis continued its charge, closing the distance to the Nexari fleet. The alien ships held their formation, confident in their superior numbers and technology. Their sensors showed the human vessel's weapons were powered down. They couldn't detect the massive buildup of electromagnetic energy being contained by jerry-rigged mining equipment. Range to target? Chen asked. 30 seconds to optimal position, Wright replied from navigation. Though we'll be well within their weapons range before then. Enemy vessels opening fire, Kumar announced. Energy beams lanced out from the Nexari ships, most missing as Wright guided the Artemis through a series of evasive maneuvers that pushed the artificial gravity to its limits. Those that hit were absorbed by the remaining shields, but the protection wouldn't last long. Shields failing, Kumar reported. Direct hits on decks 3 and 7. Hold course, Chen ordered. Torres, status. Ready on your mark, the engineer replied. But we'll only get one shot at this. The distance between the ships closed rapidly. 20 seconds. 15. 10. The Nexari vessels adjusted their positions slightly, preparing to deliver the killing blow to what they assumed was a suicide run. Now, Chen ordered. Torres activated the improvised EMP device. The effect was instantaneous and spectacular. A massive electromagnetic pulse erupted from the Artemis, expanding outward in a sphere of invisible energy. But this wasn't a standard EMP. Rodriguez and Torres had modified it based on their observations of the Nexari's crystalline technology. The pulse hit the alien ships like a tsunami hitting a coastline. Their crystalline hulls, which normally channeled and amplified energy weapons, instead acted as conductors for the electromagnetic wave. Systems crashed across their fleet as the pulse disrupted the delicate lattice structure of their technology. Direct hit on all targets, Kumar reported, unable to keep the amazement from his voice. Their primary systems are offline. But the Artemis wasn't done yet. As the Nexari ships drifted, their crews struggling to restore power, the human vessel executed its final maneuver. Launch remaining ordnance, Chen ordered. Everything we've got left. The last of their improvised weapons fired. Ballistas, trebuchets, and magnetic launchers all releasing their payloads simultaneously. The disabled Nexari ships, their shields down and systems scrambled, could only watch as the barrage approached. The impacts were devastating. Crystalline hulls shattered, engines exploded, and weapon systems crumpled under the onslaught. In less than a minute, the pride of the Nexari fleet had been reduced to drifting debris. Enemy fleet neutralized, Kumar confirmed. No active weapon signatures detected. A cheer went up from the bridge crew, quickly spreading throughout the ship as the news traveled. They had done the impossible. Defeated a technologically superior force using little more than improvised weapons and human ingenuity. Damage report, Chen called out, bringing the celebration back to focus. Hull breaches on multiple decks, but containment is holding, Torres replied. Main drive is operational, though I wouldn't recommend any more high-speed maneuvers for a while. The good news is the colonists' cryopods are all stable. We didn't lose a single one. Chen nodded, relief evident on her face. Send out a general broadcast on all frequencies. Any surviving Nexari crew can surrender and will provide assistance. And get me a channel to Colonial Command. They need to know what we've discovered here. As the Artemis crew began rescue operations, Rodriguez stood at the viewport, watching the debris of the Nexari fleet drift past. You know, she said to no one in particular, throughout human history, we've always assumed that advancing technology would make older methods obsolete. But today proved something I've always suspected. There's wisdom in our past that shouldn't be forgotten. Chen joined her at the viewport. The Nexari forgot that principle. They became so focused on advancing their technology that they lost sight of the fundamentals. That was their real weakness, not their ships or their weapons, but their inability to think beyond them. Human resourcefulness, Rodriguez agreed. Our greatest weapon has always been our ability to adapt, to take the old and make it new again. As if to emphasize her point, a piece of debris floated past the viewport, a fragment of Nexari crystal hull, shattered by nothing more sophisticated than a well-placed rock. The battle was over, but its implications would echo throughout the galaxy. Humanity had proven that they weren't just another species to be conquered. They were innovators, adapters, survivors. The Nexari had learned this lesson the hard way, and soon, the rest of the galaxy would learn it too. In the end, it wasn't the most advanced technology that had won the day, but the oldest principle in warfare. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. Humanity had come full circle, using the weapons of their past to secure their future among the stars.